The only thing you'll ever get from me is my name." I froze at the altar. The video of him and my sister still fresh in my hands tonight, I ruined them both. My name is Hannah Blake, and there I stood at the altar of an extravagant wedding venue, surrounded by an array of flowers and the buzzing chatter of 100 guests. I was 34, a woman caught between the expectations of my wealthy family and my desire for something real. Yet, despite the opulence surrounding me, I felt utterly alone. My heart raced, not with excitement, but with a chilling dread that gripped my chest. Ryan, my soon-to-be husband, had just whispered the coldest words. "The only thing you'll ever get from me is my name." There it was, my reality laid bare. I was about to marry a man whose love felt more like ownership than partnership. Amid the joyful atmosphere, I felt trapped in a facade, a performance for everyone celebrating around us. The day had started beautifully. I slipped into my gown, the intricate lace hugging my body like a second skin, feeling like a princess for just a moment. Emma, my sister, helped me adjust the veil, her smile radiant against the backdrop of the lavish venue. But as I fastened the delicate pearls around my neck, a sense of impending doom lingered at the edge of my thoughts. I had spent so long trying to satisfy everyone around me, but deep down, I longed for validation of my own worth, beyond the Blake family name. And then it happened. Just moments before I was to walk down the aisle, my phone buzzed violently in my pocket, an anonymous video link. I hesitated, the familiar knot of anxiety tightening in my stomach. But curiosity got the better of me. I clicked it. The screen lit up with a horrific betrayal, a grainy video of Ryan, the man I was about to marry, entwined in a compromising situation with my sister. My heart plummeted. The festive atmosphere around me faded into a blur, replaced by the suffocating reality of betrayal. I felt sick. How could this happen? Memories of laughter, shared dreams, and late-night conversations rushed through my mind, but they felt like a cruel joke now. I was standing at my wedding, and my sister was betraying me in the most unimaginable way. The pain was overwhelming, but a fierce anger ignited within me. "Ryan!" I shouted, my voice cutting through the cheerful chatter like a knife. The guests turned, their expressions shifting from joy to shock. "We need to talk. Now." Laughter faded, replaced by the sound of my heart pounding in my ears. He approached, a smirk lingering on his lips, as if he had no idea what was coming. "What's wrong, babe?" he asked, feigning innocence. My voice trembled, filled with a mix of anger and hurt. "I know what you did. I saw the video." His face paled, and for a brief moment I savored the flicker of fear that crossed his features. But it quickly vanished, and he regained his composure as if nothing could touch him. "Hannah, come on. You don't really believe that, do you? You're just upset." His dismissive tone only fueled my rage. This was my moment to reclaim my power, to show him I wasn't just a pawn in his game. "I want a divorce," I declared, my voice steady despite the chaos inside me. "You think you can get away with this? You're wrong." Ryan laughed, a sound that sent chills down my spine. "You have no power here, Hannah. You'll always be just a Blake." His words stung, echoing in my mind like a cruel mantra. As I stood there, a whirlwind of emotions swirling within me, I realized I was done living in the shadows of my family's wealth. This wasn't just about Ryan or Emma, it was about me reclaiming my life. The guests around us watched, their eyes wide with curiosity, and suddenly I felt a surge of defiance. So Reddit, AITA for wanting to confront them both on my wedding day. Update 1. After that horrendous confrontation, I fled the wedding venue, leaving behind the laughter and celebration that felt like a cruel mockery of my reality. The opulent surroundings, once filled with dreams of love and happiness, transformed into a suffocating cage. Each flower arrangement seemed to mock me, their vibrant colors reminding me of the life I thought I was building with Ryan. I stepped into my upscale apartment, a space that had once felt like a sanctuary but now echoed with the remnants of shattered dreams. I closed the door behind me, sealing in the chaos of my emotions. I collapsed onto the plush sofa, feeling the weight of everything crash down like a tidal wave. The memories of the day replayed in my mind, a loop of betrayal that I couldn't escape. The moment Ryan had coldly dismissed my pain still stung like a fresh wound. I had always been the peacemaker in my family, the one who kept the peace between my demanding parents and my competitive sister, Emma. I had sacrificed so much to maintain harmony, often at the cost of my own happiness. But that day, something fundamental shifted within me. I realized I was done being a pawn in their games. Ryan had always been controlling, his insecurities feeding a need to dominate every aspect of our lives. He thrived on power and manipulation, and it had taken me far too long to see it. Emma, my sister, had always been envious of my life and choices. Her jealousy had started small, but had festered into something toxic. Their betrayal cut deeper than I could have imagined, and I felt a mix of anger and determination bubbling within me. I wouldn't just sit back and allow them to ruin my life. That night, I sank into the depths of despair, feeling isolated and lost. Old memories resurfaced, moments when I had felt powerless against my family's expectations. I remembered how my parents had always lavished attention on Emma, their golden child, smart, beautiful, ambitious. I had been the quieter one, the one who blended into the background, always trying to prove myself worthy of their love. But now, faced with this betrayal, I realized I had a choice. I could either let their actions define me or rise from the ashes of my shattered life. As the days passed, a plan began to take shape in my mind. I started gathering evidence against Ryan and Emma. Fueled by a mix of anger and determination, I combed through my phone and our shared accounts, my heart racing with each message I uncovered. I found incriminating texts that revealed not just emotional betrayal, but financial deceit as well. I discovered hidden bank accounts tied to Ryan's shady business dealings, money siphoned off from investments I had thought were legitimate. Each piece of evidence felt like a dagger aimed at their facade, and I felt a surge of empowerment with every discovery. I began to channel my pain into a fierce determination. I transformed myself, shedding the image of the passive wife who had always played nice. I began working out regularly, focusing on my physical strength, not just to look good but to feel strong. I wanted to reclaim my identity, to become the woman I had buried beneath layers of expectation. I started dressing more confidently, choosing bold colors and styles that suited me, reminding myself that I was not just a Blake, but Hannah, a woman ready to rise. In the midst of this turmoil, I found solace in the online community. I shared my story on Reddit, recounting the events of that fateful day, my feelings of betrayal, and my newfound resolve. The response was overwhelming. Strangers rallied behind me, cheering for my strength and resilience. "You're going to rise from this, Hannah," one commenter wrote. "You deserve so much better. Don't let them keep you down." Their words ignited a fire within me, fueling my resolve to confront Ryan and Emma, not just for myself, but for every woman who had ever felt trapped by betrayal. I realized I was not alone, and that gave me strength. I spent hours reading through comments, absorbing advice and encouragement. Some shared their own stories of betrayal and recovery, each tale reinforcing my belief that I could overcome this. I took notes, jotting down strategies, quotes that resonated with me, and reminders that I was not defined by my past. I also began to reach out to friends who had distanced themselves from Ryan, gathering support and intel. I wanted to ensure that when the time came, I wouldn't be alone. I needed allies, people who understood the depths of his manipulation and Emma's jealousy. Each conversation helped solidify my resolve and provided me with new insights into their behaviors. As I moved forward, a sense of clarity washed over me. I was no longer the scared woman standing at the altar, paralyzed by fear and betrayal. I was a woman ready to reclaim her life and her power. I was determined to confront the very people who had betrayed me, to expose their lies and reclaim my narrative. I spent late nights plotting my next steps, envisioning how I would unveil their secrets in front of family and friends. I started drafting a timeline of events, connecting the dots between Ryan's shady dealings and Emma's jealousy. I wanted to expose them for what they were, two people who had conspired against me. I imagined the confrontation, the look on Ryan's face when I revealed the evidence, the shock in Emma's eyes when she realized I had known all along. The thought of it sent shivers down my spine, but also filled me with a newfound courage. So Reddit, AITA for plotting my revenge against my husband and sister? Update 2. A week had passed since I confronted Ryan at the wedding, and each day felt like a countdown to the inevitable showdown I was preparing for. I spent my time plotting and strategizing, gathering more evidence and building my case against both Ryan and Emma. The weight of betrayal still lingered, but with each passing day, I felt more empowered and determined to reclaim my life. I learned of a high-profile charity event that Ryan and Emma were hosting at a luxury hotel. It was the perfect opportunity for my confrontation, a public setting where their carefully crafted images could shatter before an audience. The thought thrilled me. I could expose them for the frauds they were while surrounded by their friends and supporters. This wasn't just about revenge, it was about reclaiming my narrative and showing everyone who they truly were. As I prepared for the event, I envisioned my entrance. I needed to look powerful, confident, and unapproachable. I spent hours choosing the perfect outfit, an elegant, form-fitting black dress that accentuated my curves and exuded strength. I paired it with bold red lipstick, a color that signified both danger and confidence. I wanted Ryan and Emma to see me not as the woman they had betrayed, but as a force to be reckoned with. In the days leading up to the event, I also began reaching out to friends who had distanced themselves from Ryan. I explained the situation in vague terms, focusing on the fact that I was leaving him and needed support. I gathered a small group of allies, friends who had seen through Ryan's charm and manipulation long before I had. Their encouragement fortified my resolve, reminding me that I was not alone in this fight. But amid my preparations, I couldn't help but reflect on my relationship with Emma. I remembered a time not too long ago when we were inseparable. I flashed back to a summer day in our childhood, sitting on the porch swing under the warm sun, sharing secrets and dreams. We laughed as we painted our toenails, imagining our futures filled with love and adventure. Emma had always been my partner in crime, someone I believed would stand by me no matter what. That bond felt like a distant memory now, overshadowed by betrayal. I wanted to hold on to that sisterly connection, but the reality of her actions made it impossible to ignore. As the day of the charity event approached, I felt a mixture of excitement and anxiety building inside me. I had a plan, but I also knew that plans could fall apart. I had to be ready for anything. I practiced my speech in front of the mirror, rehearsing the words that would cut through their lies like a knife. I wanted to be calm and collected, yet fierce enough to command attention when the moment arrived. The night of the event arrived, and the luxury hotel was ablaze with lights, filled with the scent of champagne and expensive perfume. Laughter and chatter filled the air, but it felt like an artificial warmth, a mask that everyone wore to hide their true selves. I took a deep breath as I entered the grand ballroom, the opulence overwhelming yet energizing. The chandeliers sparkled above, casting a soft glow over the guests dressed in their finest attire. I could see Ryan and Emma across the room, their laughter ringing out like a siren's call. I felt a surge of adrenaline as I spotted Elias, a former classmate of mine, standing near the entrance. We had shared a few classes in college, and I remembered him as a quiet but observant guy who had also been a victim of Ryan's manipulative ways. Our eyes met, and I could see the recognition in his gaze. We exchanged a brief nod, and I felt an unexpected sense of comfort. Perhaps I wasn't as alone as I thought. Elias walked over, a hint of concern etched on his face. "Hannah, are you okay?" he asked softly, eyeing the crowd. "You look incredible, but I can sense the tension. What's really going on?" I took a deep breath, relieved to have someone who understood the stakes. "I'm about to confront Ryan and Emma," I confessed. "I have evidence of their betrayal, and tonight is my chance to expose them." His expression shifted to one of admiration and determination. "I'll stand by you. You don't have to do this alone." I could tell Elias was ready to help, and I felt a flicker of hope. Maybe he could play a role in this plan, perhaps helping me press play on the evidence I had gathered when the moment was right. We spent a few moments strategizing, and with his support, I felt my confidence swell. The plan was in motion, and I was ready to execute it. I glanced around the room, seeing Ryan and Emma mingling, their smiles plastered on their faces as if nothing was amiss. But I knew better. I could feel the tension in the air, an electric charge that suggested the calm before the storm. As the evening progressed, I made my way to the bar, collecting my thoughts and steeling my resolve. The moment was drawing near, and I could hardly contain the anticipation. Then, as if on cue, I overheard a snippet of their conversation. Ryan leaned close to Emma, whispering something that made her laugh, and that laugh sounded all too familiar, the same laugh I had often heard when they were alone. My stomach twisted, and I realized I had to act. The time for confrontation was now. I turned to Elias, who nodded in understanding. "Let's do this," I said, feeling a mix of fear and exhilaration. With newfound determination, I approached Ryan and Emma, my heart racing with each step. The moment had come to expose their lies and reclaim my narrative. I took a deep breath, ready to unleash the truth. So Reddit, AITA, if I confront my husband and sister at the charity event tonight? Update 3. The moment had arrived. My heart raced as I stepped closer to Ryan and Emma, their laughter ringing in my ears, a cruel reminder of the betrayal that had shattered my world. I could feel Elias at my side, his presence grounding me, and I took a deep breath, ready to unleash the truth. The atmosphere in the ballroom was electric, the scent of champagne mingling with the artificial warmth of practiced smiles. This was it. I could finally reclaim my narrative. "Ryan, Emma," I said, my voice firm and unwavering, cutting through the noise of the crowd. They turned to me, surprise flickering across their faces. "We need to talk. Now." Ryan's smirk faltered for a moment, but he quickly masked it with annoyance. "What's your problem, Hannah? This isn't the time or place for your drama." Ignoring his dismissive tone, I pressed on. "Oh, but it is. You see, I've had enough of your lies and manipulation." I could feel the weight of the guests' curious gazes on us, their whispers intensifying the tension in the room. Emma crossed her arms, her expression shifting from surprise to defensiveness. "What are you talking about? You're making a scene." "Am I?" I retorted, a sense of power surging through me. "You both thought you could keep this from me, but I know everything. I saw the video of you and Ryan, and I've got the evidence." The words hung in the air, and I could see the realization dawning on their faces. A hush fell over the crowd as my declaration sank in. I could feel the eyes of our friends and family, their shock palpable. I had their attention, and I was not going to waste this moment. I turned to Elias, who was standing a bit off to the side, ready to support me. "Elias," I called out, my heart pounding. "Can you show them?" He stepped forward, pulling out his phone with a determined look. I had shared the incriminating evidence with him earlier, trusting him to be ready when the moment arrived. He clicked a few buttons and held the phone up for everyone to see. The video of Ryan and Emma, entwined in a compromising situation, played on the screen, their laughter replaced by stunned silence. Gasps echoed through the ballroom as the truth was laid bare before everyone. Ryan's face turned crimson, and Emma's expression shifted from defiance to sheer horror. "You can't do this." Emma shouted, her voice trembling, but I could see the cracks in her facade. The sisterly bond we once shared felt like a distant memory, washed away by the betrayal I had unearthed. "Sorry, Emma," I said, my voice steady, "but you made your choice when you decided to betray me." I felt a strange sense of relief wash over me. I had finally found my voice and my strength. Ryan stepped forward, his composure faltering. "You're ruining everything, Hannah. This is a charity event." "Not anymore," I interrupted, my heart racing. "You thought you could lie your way through life without consequences, but tonight, everyone sees you for who you really are." I could see the fear in his eyes, and it fueled my resolve. The crowd began to murmur, and I could sense the shift in the room. Friends who had once admired Ryan and Emma now looked at them with disdain. I felt empowered, the anger I once held transforming into a fierce determination. "Let's talk about the money you've been hiding, Ryan," I continued, feeling the momentum building. "Let's talk about the lies you've told to protect your reputation at the expense of those you claim to love." Each word was a strike against the false life he had built, and I felt the weight of the truth lifting me higher. "Enough." Ryan shouted, but his voice quivered. "You're going to regret this, Hannah." "Regret?" I laughed, a sound that felt foreign yet liberating. "The only regret I have is not speaking up sooner. You thought you could control me, but you were wrong." In that moment, I felt the energy in the room shift. People began to step forward, allies I hadn't even realized I had. Friends rallied around me, making their disdain for Ryan and Emma clear. I felt a sense of unity, a reminder that I wasn't alone in this fight. As the confrontation unfolded, I saw the chaos beginning to take shape. Ryan's facade was crumbling, and I knew I had to keep pushing forward. I turned to the crowd, my voice steady and loud enough to reach everyone. "This is about more than just me. It's about standing up against betrayal and manipulation. It's about reclaiming our lives and our voices." Suddenly, the doors to the ballroom burst open and security personnel flooded in. I realized Ryan had called for backup, but it was too late. The truth was out, and there was no going back. The atmosphere turned chaotic, panic setting in among the guests. Elias moved closer, ready to stand by my side. "We need to get out of here," he said, concern etched on his face. "No," I replied, shaking my head. "This is my moment. I won't back down." I had come too far to let fear take over now. I wanted to see this through. The security team approached, but I raised my hand, signaling them to stop. Before you take anyone out, you need to understand something. I addressed the guards, my voice firm. There's a lot more happening here than what meets the eye. This is about exposing a fraud and reclaiming my life. As the tension escalated, I felt the support of my friends solidifying around me. One by one, they stepped forward, speaking up about their own experiences with Ryan's manipulation. Their voices joined mine, creating a chorus of truth that reverberated through the ballroom. Finally, as the chaos began to settle, I turned back to Ryan and Emma, who were now cornered by the very people they had sought to impress. The betrayal that had once bound us as sisters was now the chain that bound them. "Let this be a lesson," I said, my voice steady and powerful. "You can't hide from the truth forever. I'm reclaiming my life, and I'm not going to let you drag me down with you." With that, I turned to leave, feeling a sense of freedom wash over me. I had stood up for myself, and in doing so, I had found my strength. As I walked away from the chaos, I felt Elia's by my side, a newfound ally in this journey of healing and empowerment. So Reddit, AITA for exposing my husband and sister at the charity event, because right now, I feel like I finally took control of my life.